This episode is powered by Safety FM.
This podcast is being sponsored by safetyconsultantblueprint.com.
In this week's episode, we're going to talk to Travis Costello about his business and being plugged in to his Houston, Texas community as a safety consultant.
Hi, everybody. Todd Conklin. I know lots of you get your information while you drive down the road or sit on planes or sit in meetings and look interested. And now you should know that 3 of my books are available for your listening pleasure on Audible. With the help of Jay Allen and Safety FM, we've produced 3 of the books, Workplace Fatalities, The 5 Principles of Human Performance, and my very first book, Simple Revolutionary Acts, and they're available now where you get audiobooks.
My name is Travis Costello. I own Costello Safety Consulting here in Houston, Texas. We are based out of the Cypress area. However, we do perform services and assist clients and customers pretty much across the United States. Our main focus is here in Texas, however, just because obviously there's plenty to do here. And we try to avoid traveling when we can to kind of help reduce costs or pass along the work to other consultants in that area, just to kind of, save some costs for the client and the customer as well. So, but I mean, that's kind of what we do. We are a full service health and safety company. So if you name it, we pretty much offer it. Everything from, doing every type of training. We offer training at our office location, also with clients at their location. We do a ton of CPR and first aid training, a lot of community training, which is free training. And then on the service side, we do everything from, going out and doing site audits, incident investigations, to all the way to even staffing. I try not to do a lot of temporary staffing. We try to work with the clients and the customers to do permanent staffing. It's just easier. And I'd rather see good safety professionals working instead of just have a temporary job. So, but we're full service. So like I said, if you name it, we typically can do it. If we don't have somebody on staff, we will bring somebody else on and kind of make sure that your needs are covered. So that's about the company.
Yeah, that's great that you did the staffing part, because staffing, especially for, I guess before you've told me that you guys work with interns to try to get them into the field and get them positioned. Do you do that as well, staffing?
We do. Interns? So, yeah, we try to keep, depending on our workload, we work with the colleges, we work with other people, especially on, you notice on your Facebook page, right? There's always people looking for positions, wanting to come in. And a lot of times what we'll do is if we have the means and the workload, we will bring on interns. And what these interns will do from us is basically learn. We immediately enroll them into training programs that we offer at no cost to them. But then additionally, we help guide them and show them great tools like OSHA Academy, right? The online school that I recommend every safety professional go and take a look at. Doesn't matter if you've got your CSP or if you're entry level, why would you pass up an opportunity to get great safety courses that ultimately can earn you college credit for free? I mean, unless you pay for the certification, which is incredibly cheap, it's the way to go. So what we'll do is we'll work with our interns. We'll assign them all this training. If they complete the OSHA Academy training, we will actually pay for their certifications and allow them to work with us. Make sure it's something that they want to do. And then we will try to find little things for them in the field, go out, do audits with our guys to kind of see how they're done, involve them in little things here and there. If it's possible, we try to do paid internships. They are lower pay, obviously. And then sometimes we have to work with the college and, they're not allowed to do a paid internship for X, amount of time for just school work because they're earning college credit and da-da-da. So it's been an interesting ride with that. It's definitely, people start realizing what safety truly is when they've never got to do it before. They just see the safety guys, right? Everyone's always like, you guys never do anything. You sit in your office, you get paid, da-da-da-da. Well, as you know, real safety, professionals are always busy. There's always something to do. We're always trying to learn. And some people find out that it's truly not necessarily for them. And, what a better way to do it than, basically for free. So we try to do that as much as we can. Obviously, throughout the year, the workloads change. And so our need for those people change. And it kind of just, like I said, it fluctuates quite a bit throughout the year. Sometimes we'll have one person, sometimes we'll have up to three. It just kind of determines on workload and the current need.
All right. Now, what about your decision to physically have a location to train? What got you into thinking about we need a physical place to train? And then when you decided that for yourselves, how did you make it where it was like economical for you to do it?
Yeah, so that was kind of, off the cuff. As most of us start off in safety consulting, most of us run through this problem, right? You want to offer training classes, but you don't really have a space. So what do you have to do? You have to find somewhere to rent. And a lot of times you can go to your hotels. You can go to these, day offices. And the downside to them is, one, you have to work with basically technology or equipment that you're not familiar with. Two, you have to pay an upfront cost. So if you go down to the community colleges, you can rent a training room from them, and you can always do it. But you have to have liability insurance. Typically, it's $1 million, coverage. You have to have certain things in place, and then you have to pay. And these rooms can get incredibly expensive, which ultimately eats away your profit. And it's even worse if you pay for it and you offer a class and you get to the class and only half the people show up. Next thing you know, it costs you money to do this training class. And so you get discouraged, right? So when I first started off, that was a deal. Well, we landed a few extra contracts. And at the time, as we talked before, was, owning a building and making this an actual business with employees and everything like that was never an initial thought for me. It was always, hey, if I have enough clients to keep myself happy financially, and then, I get to spend time with my family, I'm happy. But unfortunately, clients' demand goes up, and then your name improves, and you start building a reputation for yourself, and more people want to work with you, and then you need help. And that's kind of happened here. So, I was looking at training spaces, and then we got a couple contracts, and I thought about it and went, you know what, I have enough disposable income coming in that maybe it's time to find a little 800, 1,200 square foot building to at least use just for a training space. If it costs me $800 a month, $1,000 a month, or even $1,500 a month, if I can offer, training once a week and get people in there, then that would at least cover the cost.
Yeah, you have to do that math, right?
Yes, and it's the math, right? And unfortunately, I found out really quick, commercial spaces are just a little bit more expensive than residential spaces. I didn't realize how expensive commercial buildings were. And their leases are not a standard lease. They're 3-year, they're 5-year. You have to know, is it a gross lease or a triple net lease? I didn't know any of that information. I didn't know what triple net meant. I didn't know what gross meant when it came to renting a building. But the current building we're in now, I actually found one day. I was driving by and I saw a sign up that said for lease, and the building was in pretty rough shape. I mean, it was a gorgeous looking building in a wonderful spot, but its condition was pretty rough. Yeah. It being a pretty large-sized building, we have about 5,500 square feet, 8 offices, 2 training rooms. I went, there's no way I can afford this place. But the one thing that I learned as, going through work and learning a lot in safety was, what's the worst going to happen if I call and ask how much he wants for it and talk to him? And that's kind of what I did. I called him, and the landlord seemed really nice over the phone. I told him what I did and what I was looking at doing, and he said, you know what, come on in and talk to me. And I came in and talked to him and found out that he wanted about $4,000 a month for the rent, and that was definitely way out of my budget initially. I put a budget for myself about $3,000 a month, and after talking to him, we came to an agreement that I would invest money into the building and make it look nice, and he would lower the rent down to $3,000 a month and make it my affordable rent. Now, obviously, yes, this is not something that's standard. However, all I did was ask. And if worst case scenario, he would have told me, you're crazy, I'm not doing that. But he thought about it, and he said, you know what, let's go ahead and do it. So we've been here since. We moved in we moved in the beginning of the year in 2017. And so we've been here. We actually are moving out in December to a new location. We're getting something a little bit bigger and just a little bit more of what we need. Less office space, but more training space. And so we'll be moving out of here in December.
But studio, right?
What was that? Yes. We actually have plenty of room for that. Yes, sir. So, when you're in town, you're more than welcome to use it. Anybody else? It's the one thing that when I ended up getting this building, what I told myself was it's too much space for the business at the time. However, there's plenty of opportunity here to help others grow. And that's kind of what we did, is we opened it up to other safety companies and other consulting guys that most of them were working out of their house, and they would call and say, hey, Travis, is the training room available this weekend? And I would look at the calendar, and if it was available, I'd say, absolutely, it's yours. What do you need to have done? And feel free to use it, right? Because for me, it was let's share this opportunity. And if we can help others grow, then in return, it's not necessarily helping my competition grow. You can hurt yourself if you're not very careful. And watch who you're partnering with and working with. However, you also have a lot of opportunity to make great people like yourself, right? We tried to get that one class going last minute earlier this year, and unfortunately we just didn't have enough time. But it's open. Take it, utilize it, save some money, and in return, if we can help you guys grow, worst case scenario, there's always a chance for your business to fail or you make a fatal mistake. If that happens, what's your backup plan? Well, my backup plan is if I help others around me be successful, worst case scenario, if the business fails, then I at least have people that I can call and say, hey, do you have any opportunities that I could utilize, and build that security up? Because without it, if the building fails or the job fails, what are you going to do, right? It's very difficult.
Yourself, right? So then you're...
Exactly. And so it's a way to secure your financial stability for you and your family, is to help others around you succeed. And ultimately, while we are a full service company, we don't have a lot of opportunities to do full bilingual classes. And so we'll reach out to Johan with NW Safety here in Houston, and I'll send him a lot of work and say, hey, you know what, this is some work that needs to be done in Spanish. Would you like the opportunity to do it? And if they say yes, they can take it, and it's theirs to build. And we follow strict parameters, right? It's, hey, this is our client. Don't try to shop with them. If something comes up, you will have the work. But, it's a respect deal. And he does the same thing for us. If something comes up that he's not able to do, then he calls us and we help them out. And so it's that sharing of not just responsibility, but of client work. There's no sense to overload yourself and stress yourself out, because then you're not going to be a benefit to your employees if you have them, your client. You're not going to do the best work possible, which is never good for you in the long term. And so it's important to spread that workload out, even if it means sharing it with other consultants.
Yeah, and I do see in your area specifically, I know Houston has so many consultants and businesses and everything that is constantly moving, and you do have a lot of activity that can be a process safety management type of hazards that will affect the whole community. And you'll see it in the news every now and then when you guys have a uh-oh moment in the news. So I figure at that point, you probably all are pooling together to figure out how you could service the community.
Yeah, I wish it was more of that going on than there is, and everything. But people they think what the problem is they get in this world where you get online and you start trying to build your business, and you run into issues like, well, how much do I even charge? How much do how much does this cost? Well, how much is the competition doing it for? How much is this? And you go online and you research, and nobody shares their pricing, right? We've tried everything when we first started off to call in other consulting companies and saying, hey, how much do you charge for a CPR and first aid class? And the problem is they're so secretive of how much they're charging. What they'll do is they say, well, shoot me an email of exactly what you're looking for, and then I will, send you a quote. Well, we learned that the problem with that is, you also lose a lot of customers because customers don't like to wait. And so what we've done is we built our fee schedule, working with other companies, working with other people, and then ultimately doing the math ourselves, going online, figuring out how to calculate your hourly rates, what kind of percentages to add in, a ton of research. But then we have a fee schedule. And if somebody calls us like you or Johan or anybody else that we know here in town, and they say, hey, Travis, how much do you charge for this class? Or how much do you charge for an hourly rate? We'll 100% share it with you. And the main reason why is your consulting isn't necessarily built around your pricing. When you start getting to a client load that truly needs your help and truly wants to improve, and they know that you're a benefit, price no longer matters to them. What matters to them is your ability to communicate, your effectiveness. We can bill $200 an hour and people don't bat an eye because we don't spend 8 hours to get it done. We put all of our resources needed into that problem and resolve it. And so we could get it done in a short amount of time, and we have consistent results. So, having the ability to share that and say, hey, you know what, charge it, that's fine. It's not a competition. There's so much work in Houston. It's crazy.
Really busy. I mean, every time I go there, and I'm there maybe twice a year, sometimes even once a quarter, and doing a class. And whenever I'm there and I see just all the activity, I'm like, wow, this is feast for a safety consultant, and therefore your mindset is right, where there's enough business for all of us. And why not share it? Why not make it where it's a better experience for the client that is in this same community? So I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, the clients see that, right? And then they share that. The people that you deal with, and it's one of the things that I've learned over the years by reading a lot of books, and then even going through some of your material, right, is when you set up your deal and you're working out your proposal, you send it to the person in charge. That is your only person that you communicate with when it comes to business stuff. You try to make it to where nobody else is responsible to tell you what to do. One person makes the decision, makes it simple. However, that one person has a lot of connections. And if you do a good job and you're highly effective and you are being super responsive to them as best you can, you're going to get more work. 90% of our work comes from referral. We don't spend any money on advertising. We don't do a ton of social media. I would love to do more, but it takes time. Most of our work comes from when you search safety consulting in Houston, we're one of the top ones that come up, and we can get into that a little bit of how we did that. And then referrals, that's it.
Yeah.
And we don't do anything special. We don't even ask for referrals. They just say, hey, so-and-so gave me your number, said you do a good job. And we go out there and we bust our butt.
Yeah, I try to do my informal calculation for each client is I try to get a 4X relationship out of them. So basically, the one time you do service, that's the 1X. Then hopefully they give me back next year, or they refer me to somebody. And that's how we build at least a 4-time return on a one-time investment of this client. So I try to think of it that way so that I don't feel like it's a one and done, that I'm constantly trying to service someone, even if our work is formally done, but they'll give me emails. I have a newsletter, and that's my way of keep reaching out to them. So I become top of mind. So when they say, oh man, we got to have Sheldon back for training, or I need a mock OSHA audit, I know just the guy for you. You know, I don't want there to be too much of a time gap between when someone thinks of the safety and health service and when they think about, hey, let me call Sheldon because I know he's going to do a good job. And it sounds like you're in the same philosophy there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting how it works. You know, where our problem is, and you know, we always have downfalls, right? And so when we tried this, when we talked before, one of the things that I was telling you was, you know, I'm not a business person per se, right? In my life, thinking back, there was never an opportunity or never time that I thought, ooh, you know what, I'm going to own a business. And this just kind of grew with me, and it got to the point where I was overloaded. So then I hired an office assistant to kind of help do the, you know, the admin side of things. And then it continued to get busy, and I needed help. And so I hired somebody else to kind of go out in the field and help me. And then you have hiccups, right? So you hire somebody that you think you can trust. And, you know, I've hired 2 office managers. The first one quit on me on one of our most important days. We do a community safety day each year. We had OSHA out at our office. We had National Safety Council. We had DO TxDOT. We had, you name it, everyone was involved. We ended up ripping cars apart. The fire department came out fully loaded. I mean, we had all kinds of volunteers and vendors out here. We gave away probably at least $4,000 to $5,000 worth of toys, basically everything from, you know, gift cards all the way to one of our grand prizes. We actually gave away it's an AK-47 style shotgun that was donated by one of our partners, and a bunch of training classes, and, you know, but it was all for charity. And so we set up 2 charities, and it was Chris's Caring Angels, which is an amazing charity here in Houston that focuses on distracted driving, drinking and driving. So we had a bunch of their cars out here, their victim cars, where people were involved in an incident. And then we also did the Cy-Fair Volunteer Fire Department, their charity, which is where fire department members have any financial issues or medical issues, they kind of help fund the bill. And so that day, unfortunately, she walked in and decided to quit because she was doing her own business on the side while working for me, you know. And so you take that hit and you move on and you hire somebody else, and you do your research and you build the trust with that person. And then unfortunately, the other office manager I had financially was not okay. She ended up embezzling money. And so what do? Instead of giving up, you got to move on. And we end up advancing one of our other office admins, and she's done an amazing job. I don't think I've ever had anyone who's been more finicky with, you know, making sure where our money is, when it's coming in, is it late, what bills are being paid, coming to me and saying, hey, you know what, we need to get this, this, and this. And it's been awesome. It took 2 hiccups, but we didn't give up. You know, we took big hits. You know, very big hits. These kind of hiccups can bankrupt you, you know, especially when you find out, like I said, an office manager steals about $15,000 from your bank account when you don't over time. And she was smart about it. And so it's, hey, you know, what can we do here? Well, you keep growing, you keep learning, and then once again, you don't give up. And so it's one of those situations that, once again, you know, I don't know business, and so I have to learn. Well, you got to find that time, and you got to make a sacrifice, right? You got to learn about business. So you pick up books, you ask other safety consultants. You know, when I first joined the Facebook group, I can't remember how many times you and I communicated, and I know. You know, I gave you some advice and you gave me some advice, and that's the whole point of that group. And it's amazing when people are truly there to benefit you and themselves, but when they go on and then they, you know, you get some negativity sometimes between safety professionals, and it's petty, and so it's not going to benefit you, and it's not going to benefit others. So why go down that route? You know, but that's kind of how it was. I mean, we got the building, and then the building turned into, you needed furniture, and then you needed, I have to pay for lawn care, I have to pay for cleaning service, you have to pay for electricity, internet, phones. You learn about all this, and it can be very overwhelming. But the beauty of it is people like you have built these wonderful networks, and utilize them, right? Call up people, even if you need to talk. Shel, I know you're there. There's plenty of other guys in that group that have been successful, and calling and saying, hey, can I ask you just a quick suggestion, or I'm dealing with this issue. Have you guys ever dealt with that? Odds are we're going to say yes, and happy to give you advice.
And either yes, or I'll say, oh no, but I think I know the guy he'll go to. And that's actually why I started the group too, because when I first decided to do more social, my bachelor's degree is in marketing, so I know marketing, but my master's in public administration because I wanted to do that route when I was working for someone. But I started asking about 10-hour and 30-hour training and what people cost. So one of the rules in the group was don't ask prices, and I was like, why? We're supposed to be helping each other. So I started the group maybe 2-3 years ago, probably. I can't remember. But for those of you that are on Facebook, it is facebook.com/groups with an S /safety consultant, no S. And that's the group. I have 3 kind of just questions, just so I don't have a whole bunch of people that are were robots trying to join the group. So it has to go through the question process. But when you get into the group, it's safety consultants or people who have the role of being a safety consultant, or somebody who just is interested in safety and health. So in the group, we basically have resources on the group in the file folder. Travis just uploaded everything almost he had, and then there's a bunch from him, a bunch from other people where we can share resources, and I've got a bunch in there too. And we ask questions, we ask prices. That's right. That's why I made it Safety Consultant, so we could help each other out.
Yep, and we're actually about to get another big dump here too. So I have a bad habit of, our websites, right? Websites are important, and if you have a consulting company or you're trying to start one, there's no reason for you not to have one nowadays, right? And so one of my goals has always been able to make a membership section of my website, which we have, but it's kind of offline right now because we're constantly trying to add to it, right? And make a bunch of things available for download for free, and a lot of reference materials and stuff like that we've built or used over the years, or even sharing with us over the years. Well, in the meantime, until we can get that up and running, I've been putting a bunch of stuff off to a folder that I wanted to share. And so you're actually probably going to need another big dump. So definitely keep an eye out on the Facebook group, because there's going to be a huge dump of pretty important stuff on there. And then once again, in the Facebook group, if you have any recommendations, you need anything, put it on the group. Somebody's going to most of the time share it with you. If we have it, I'll share it with you. I am not as responsive right now as I'd like to be on that group, just because there's so many things going on. I'm trying to get better at it. It's just very difficult when you also are running your own Facebook, your own website, we do it all in-house. And so it can get overwhelming very quickly.
Are you doing that through something like Meet Edgar, where you can do one post and then have it go to all your different networks?
Yes. So when it comes to social media, we actually use Buffer. And if you haven't heard of Buffer, Buffer's a great tool. It's actually not that expensive. It will allow you to post to all social media content. What we currently use right now is we use Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But Twitter's kind of fallen off the loop. And the main reason why is Twitter, the problem about it is you have to post constantly, multiple times a day. Otherwise, you just get buried. And so by information, and that's one of the downsides about social media now is, not only do you have to make it relevant and you have to make it to where people are going to click on it, but people have built this habit of they basically want to be able to look and click off within, 10 to 15 seconds. And so you have to be able to make your content relatable and something that they want to see that will show up in their feeds. Twitter is getting harder and harder to do. We still post things to it, but Instagram right now is super easy, just because you're out on the field, you see something crazy, you take a picture, you post it, make a little caption on it. It takes no time. And stuff. And so those are kind of what we use now. And of course, our website, we do have a newsletter, but there's struggles. You've got to have content for that newsletter. It takes time to build it unless you're paying somebody. When it was just myself doing all this, for some reason, it seemed like I had more time, and I could keep the website up to date and get the newsletters out. But now you get so busy, you have to pass it on to somebody else. Well, if they're not familiar with how to properly, format a newsletter, there's plenty of templates, but it still takes an understanding of how to, write these things, how to formulate them, how to make them look to get hits and people to be interested in reading them. And so you can fall off the wayside. The biggest thing is just don't get discouraged. When you get some free time, step in it and send it out. If you miss a month, you miss a month, and, just keep going, and eventually you'll understand it, you'll learn it, and, it'll become easier for you.
Yeah, and what I do, especially if I missed a couple of months, I'll just put it right in my newsletter. Hey, it's been a while. I've been busy. Here's the latest. And I created a format now here for myself, and I use ConvertKit, and ConvertKit does newsletters, it does email marketing, does autoresponders, does everything. I did 2 videos recently detailing how to use ConvertKit for email marketing. So if you go to, where is that? I think it's sheldonprimus.com, I would imagine, or safetyconsultant.us. Those are 2 of my sites. And either one of those sites, I believe I have it up in the resource section, or it may even be a tab that says ConvertKit, but I do 2 detailed videos on how to use email marketing and how to tag people when they sign up on your email list, so you know if someone needs environmental emails versus someone that needs OSHA emails, and you don't bombard people that way. But if you are going to try to utilize your time best, the best thing to do is to make sure that you batch it. So I try to make a batching day where I'm going to do, a half day worth of email content. If I could spread it out, meaning I could do all my work on one day, but I'm not going to release it until Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever. So it's the time to release, but I created the content all in one batch day, and that helps save time. And it makes it it's manageable for one person, because I am one guy. So I'm trying to do the podcast and the email marketing and the Facebook group and my clients and training. And so it becomes a little difficult, and I'm trying to figure all that out. So I figured, all right, Sheldon, sit down, see what's the most important things to do, and then utilize my time to batch things. So that's how I put it up.
What I've found is, so when I first started, right, I did the website stuff. And if you go to our website, which is CostelloHSE.com, I will tell you that we get a lot of people who say, hey, it's nice, it's clean. We try not to do anything fancy with it. But when we first started off, obviously I needed a website, right? And so when you go out and you start asking people, hey, how much does it cost to build me a website? Then you kind of go, whoa, I ain't paying that. So you try to learn, right? And we started off utilizing WordPress. It was free. It was great. But the problem is WordPress, while it does amazing, you pretty much need to understand and learn how to do things like coding if you want to do it right. Then some of the apps you want to use end up costing you money. You want to get a good domain. You want to get all that kind of stuff. And so eventually it can add up. But the problem about WordPress is you have to constantly go in there and make sure everything's up to date, that you're keeping up on all the updates, that you're checking your website daily, you're checking your site maps, you're checking everything to make sure that you have it right. Then you got to install your Google Analytics and everything else. Well, by the time it was all said and done, we were still spending about $300, $350 a year, which is very, very low, but just to kind of keep a basic website up. Well, we did a lot of research, and I actually found we converted over to Wix for a website platform, and I have not been happy, or I've never been happier with the way the website works. One, super easy to build. You can also go to an advanced mode that allows you to code, but it does everything you need. You can have a mailbox through them. We set up for the premium plan, so we actually have an online store. There's no fees when we sell products. You can do all of your marketing through them. So like they have a new thing called Ascend when you sign up. It covers all your email marketing. So basically you can set up campaigns. You can set up, hey, every week on Wednesday, this one goes out. You can do dynamic content. If you don't know what dynamic content is basically you can say things like, hey, and leave it blank, and it will automatically put somebody's name in there, kind of like what your emails do, right? When I get your email, it says, hey, Travis, or Well, you didn't sit and personalize every single one of those emails, right? You have dynamic content, and so that's great. And then they have all these pre-built templates, and it automatically puts you into Google Analytics so you can see what your website hits are. It does all your SEO for you and teaches you about it. We pay about $390 a year. And that's it. But it has a ton of apps, so you just click on it, drag it, drop it. You can have member sites. You can pay for a member. There's so many options in there. And you can start it off with simply changing a few little items, and you have a website up and running that day. You can sell products. You can sell your services. You can do, book a time, and they can click on it. They'll look at your calendar if you're busy or not, and they can book that time. We sell our classes. We do everything through that thing. And, we have the chat system. It's nice because it's for somebody that doesn't understand coding, it makes it super easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes it easy for that person. And in my episode 30 wallet card episode, Naveen Mandel, he mentioned that
I know wallet card.
You remember that one? He says when he's looking for safety consultants, he actually, one of the first things he's looking for is, do they have a web presence? Do they have social media? Do they have anything? So after I talked to him, in my episode 31, I decided to do a WordPress episode just to show people how to basically go through WordPress. And I'm stuck on WordPress because I've been doing it so long. I've got like 5 active sites that I go through back and forth.
Yep.
Wix, from your description, sounds like it might even be better for someone that's entry level that doesn't understand the coding like I do. So that's a great tip for them. And
what you got to do. It's for those who don't know the coding, right? I mean, like I said, WordPress, the beauty of it is you can do anything that you want, but you just have to take the time to learn, or you have to pay for different templates and different software and which is fine. The beauty about Wix, though, was how simple it was to learn. And I can add contributors. So, like, if I say, hey, Sheldon, do you want to write a blog post for us? We can add you as a contributor. If you're a member of their website, you can make your own post. It's super easy. But what's really nice about it is all of our analytics are in one place. And so I don't have to go to Google Analytics to look at that, and then Facebook Pixel to get it. It's all done for you. And so it definitely helped. It's been a lifesaver for me just because I don't have to spend that hour each day or a couple hours each week sitting on my website to make sure, is everything up and running? Is everything up to date? Are there any bad links? It just does it for you. And so it's a good tool out there for those who maybe are looking to build a website. The reason why I bring that up is we actually work with another company. They're an environmental company. And while they have business, the issue is they don't have a website. And so a lot of our clients will ask, hey, do you know anybody who can do this? And I'm like, you know what? I actually know a great person from, and I can't reference them to, hey, go check out XXX. It's, hey, yeah, let me give you a phone number. You can call them, but they want to look at a website.
Yeah, here's their business card, right? That's about
exactly. And that's not what they want. Clients want to see their website. And just like you said, Naeed from Wallet Card, him and I have talked. Yeah, Naveen, sorry. Him and I have talked for a long time, last year and earlier this year, where when they were first moving in here to the Houston market, he gave me a call and was looking for some partners and everything. And, we communicated for a long time. I liked his system. It was a great tool. And then he moved down to San Antonio or Austin area, and he was down there for a while, and we just kept missing each other time-wise. But once again, it's another tool set that you can utilize to help you grow, help you maintain a system. And anything you can do to automate things will just free up so much of your time.
Yeah, excellent. Well, hey, let's back up and tell everybody how you got into safety and health, and then what was your trigger to say, I could do this myself?
Yeah, so back when I was, like 17, roughly, I was out looking for just some part-time work and ended up coming across a hazmat technician job, right? Very, very basic job. Entry level, you go in and you go into hazardous waste situations, but it wasn't anything crazy when I first got there. I ended up interviewing for it. I thought it would be a good opportunity because at the time I was debating on, doing the firefighter stuff and kind of deciding what I kind of wanted to do for a living. And, being very ambitious, I had a lot of ideas of what I wanted to do. I didn't really know safety was even an option at that point. But I started off, and I ended up getting the job as a, basic hazmat technician. And so I ended up kind of liking the job, right? You got to travel a little bit. Being on call was kind of fun when you're younger. Back then you got to carry a pager, so you felt like you were important, even though it wasn't that big of a deal. Little things that when you're younger, you think, I'm doing good, right? It's funny that you don't look at how much you're making financially, but that you carry around a pager and you have a second work phone and stuff like that makes you feel like you're, important. Well, so I enjoyed the job a lot. Well, then an opportunity arose where they were doing a lot of work for the government, and the government came out and said, hey, you know what, for this project over here, you guys need to have a full-time safety person. And the company at the time said, well, we need to find somebody. Anyone would volunteer. Nobody volunteered. So I said, well, you know what, I'll do it. What do I have to do? Right? What does a safety person even do? And it was like, well, you're going to help, make sure hole monitor. You're going to end up doing confined space stuff. You're going to make sure all of our equipment's inspected. You're going to help us with training. And I went, I like that. I'll do it. And so that kind of led to that position. And then other opportunities arise, right? So other jobs were coming up, and we end up having to do some training for WMD training with biohazard chemical weapons. End up taking that training and kind of just got every opportunity that was handed to me, I took. Well, I kind of fell in love with the whole aspect of the safety side of things. It was a little bit of everything. I got to be, I taught CPR and first aid. So I was, teaching that side. So I love teaching. I love going over the material. And then I got to go, well, you know what, this is kind of nice. I get to learn chemistry because I got to understand what they're going into. I get to learn, documentation, writing. You got to learn everything. And so I thought, well, it's kind of a jack of all trades here. That kind of what led me into it. And so, but from there, other opportunities arose. I took them. I was given an opportunity to go work at Hanford in Washington State. It's actually where I grew up at. So we went back there for a little while and then was transferred from there to Los Alamos National Laboratories to do work at the laboratories. And so I spent a few years there. During downtime, I had a lot of friends that were working in construction and stuff like that and needed some help. And so I'd throw them some documents here and there. So yeah, this is what I'd advise as I was learning. While in Los Alamos, my boss and one of my mentors, I had two really good ones that I would suggest everybody go out and get. They're out there. So yes, it's vital. One of my mentors was Robert Brownstein, and he still works for a company called Terran Air PMC now. Incredibly intelligent, humble guy. Definitely not somebody that you would, you'd look at them and go, well, they're definitely successful. They're definitely nice, but I need to leave them, kind of back off, leave them alone. I don't want to intrude. One of the most friendly guys, tons of information, he CSP, CIH, you name it, he understood it. Very technical. But the first thing he told me was, if you want to succeed, you need to do a couple things. One, you need to become recognized in your field. So what I want you to do is one day each week, I need you to study, and eventually you're going to go and sit for your board certification through the BCSP. And I went, okay. And he pushed me there. Then he taught me a lot about industrial hygiene and, taught me the math behind it and showed me some great tools. And it was awesome. And eventually that contract was up. And we still keep in contact with him today. So, but from there, I moved back here to Texas in November of 2012, I think. Or December 2011 is when I moved here because I started the business in 2012. And so, but it happened was I came here and was not in a huge need for income. Was kind of looking around and kind of decided, what do I want to do? Do I want to go into full-time safety? I had opportunities to go overseas. We had a lot of opportunities there. And so I was kind of floating around what I wanted to do. When I had a couple friends that were in the safety world say, hey, why don't you try to start your own thing? And I was like, yeah, no, not for me. Well, they eventually convinced me. They said, give it a shot. They said, what do you got to lose? People like you. I get requested to do speaking engagements all the time. And so I was like, yeah, all right, it's worth a shot. If nothing else, it's extra income. And started it up in May of 2012. In that meantime, got a couple jobs here and there, little things. Hey, can you do a safety meeting? Can you do a safety program? Nothing that was definitely paying the bills at first.
Yeah, but you did a little.
Yeah, I did a little bit of here and there, but then I met my wife. We started dating, and I was kind of going, okay, maybe I need to have a little bit more income coming in now. And then we found out we were going to have my son Gavin. So then I said, all right, family's got to come first. So I put the business on hold, on the back burner for a little bit, and went out and got a job. And I ended up working with a company called True Light. They do glass. They needed some help. Started off with them. Well, a friend of mine called me out of the blue and said, hey, you know what? We have a really big need right now for our job with Chevron. We need basically what they call a contractor health and management system manager. And I said, okay, well, when would I start? And they said, basically today. And I was like, what? So, yeah. So I'm like, well, what about my 2 weeks notice? And they said, well, here's the deal. You're not, we can't have you give a 2 weeks notice, but this is what we're going to pay you to make up for it. Great opportunity. I jumped on it. From there, we had to develop and build a contractor management safety system for Chevron and CBRE. And so we kind of put that together. It took about 6 months, got it up and live, went through all of the subcontractors that work on Exxon's real estate side, the building side. So it was about 680-something contractors. Went across the United States, traveling for them, learning a ton about different companies, right? I was the one responsible for reading all of their safety plans, verifying that this is what they do, checking all their backgrounds, their TRIRs, their EMRs,
Before Avetta and
basically, yeah, I was Avetta, I was IS Networld, right? We graded each contractor.
Yeah.
Yep. And so after about 6 months, project scope changed a little bit, and they ended up laying a bunch of people off. And unfortunately, I was one of those people because the system was self-efficient. It ran itself. Basically, I worked myself out of the job. At that point, I decided, you know what? I'm going to jump into this business 100% of the time. I don't want to be relying on somebody else for a paycheck. I've got a family to take care of, and while I'm unemployed, what a better time. And that's what I did. I jumped in and I learned. I spent the first couple months doing research, building a website, learning things like cold emailing, trying it, hating it, cold calling, one of the worst feelings ever, right? Trying to figure out how to get to the right person, because that's what receptionists and admins are there for, to stop people from getting to the people that make those decisions and wasting their time. Yep. I mean, and so you learn all that, and it was a lot of discouragement in the beginning. Like, what am I doing? I'm not a business guy. I don't understand this. And then taxes, and it just was so overwhelming, but you got to keep with it, right? If you want to do this, you can do it on the side, but if you want to make it and truly have a business, you're going to have to decide when you're going to jump in and when you're not. The most successful people out there are risk takers, and they didn't become successful by dipping a toe in the pool, right? They might have checked the water at first, sat on the edge, but eventually they had to jump in. And
once in a while, you gotta, like for me, I started the business in 2008, and I was doing that while I was still working at my job with the state of Florida. But then after I decided, all right, I am going to do this full time, I gave a 3 weeks notice, trained my replacement, and just did it. I just, all right, man,
yep.
I can't do part-time anymore because I'm losing money doing part-time. So it's time to just go ahead and man up and get out of there. And that's what I did. It wasn't easy by far, but I was so glad I did it. And here's 2019, and I don't want to look back. It was a great decision. And that's actually what all the ups and downs was what the course came out to be, was because I had to think about what I did wrong, what I did right, how am I going to do this, and how can I make sure that the next person that wants to be a safety consultant can survive when times are down, when times are up, how to save and all that stuff. So that is the genesis of the course, exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and you know, the material in your course is awesome, and I definitely recommend anyone going through there, reading that, taking it when they can, and asking questions, right? There's a couple resources that I end up using. One, I did definitely utilize some of the stuff that when I found your group, I was going through and going, you know what, I can do this. Proposal building is one of the hardest things to do. I end up reading a lot of books. So, there's a couple books out there called, like, one of them is The $1 Million Consulting Proposals. Great book. Mm-hmm. It talks about how to write proposals. And, you know, our proposals are very, very simple. Our proposals are also our contract and our service agreement. On average, if I don't add a bunch of details about the job of what we're doing, they might only be 3 pages long. And we have a very good success rate with that because a lot of these people aren't, you know, we don't need to add a ton of legal mumbo jumbo to this stuff. It's pretty simple. And I'm happy to share an example of that. I'll post it on the Facebook page as well. So you guys can see, we actually utilize a service called PandaDocs. While it's about $49 a month, I definitely would not recommend it unless you have stable income coming in because it can be expensive. However, it has been probably the best tool ever for building my proposals. One, everything's done electronically. It's got drag and drop options. We can get a client call us, and my office manager can put together a proposal in a couple minutes and send it out without me even here. And they're all custom tailored, and it's beautiful app.
Yeah, I haven't heard one except for you, the PandaDoc, but
PandaDocs is great. We use PandaDocs. We use Rocket Lawyer for all of our NDAs, all of our non-competes. These are, you know, Rocket Lawyer is a great app if you have a business because it's basically all the forms are pre-written. And what they do is they ask you questions like who's the client, who the customer is. You type in their information and it fills in the boxes for you, and you name it, they can do it. Commercial leases, all that are free after you join. And then you can do like a living will. So you can do a lot of personal stuff. You can do a lot of business stuff. It's a great tool. But once again, these tools aren't necessarily free. One of the free tools that I utilized to help grow my business and to find mentors was huge, and it's called SCORE, and it's through the Small Business Administration. They have a SCORE program in pretty much any major town. Go to it. And, you know, I took my proposal, I took my financials, I sat in a room with 4 retired CEOs, and they looked at all my documents, they looked at all my pricing, they tore apart everything and gave me their ideas, their suggestions, basically a grade. This is what we think you're doing, this is probably the areas you need to work on. You know, they offer free marketing courses, there's so many free tools. You just got to sign up and you got to go, you know, and to be successful, there's plenty of programs out there.
And that's SCORE. I'm sure that's accurate.
Yeah, so it's SCORE through the Small Business Association, SCORE. And then you can just go into Google and type in SCORE space SBA, and you'll find a SCORE association. So like in Houston, it's houston.score.org, and you can take workshops. They're free. Some of them they do charge. You can find a mentor through there. And say you're like, you know what, I need a mentor for marketing. I need a mentor for business finances. I need a mentor for operations. You can find multiple people through there, and they'll ask you some questions, and they'll pair you up with the perfect person that they have on staff. Those people come in and they donate their time. So that's one thing to remember is, you know, they're all mostly retired. They're very successful people. And they'll come in and they'll give you their time for free. They'll make themselves available to you at no cost over the phone, emails, ask them questions. It's a good opportunity. You know, SCORE is there, so utilize it.
Yeah, definitely. And if you are looking for proposals, I do have a whole step-by-step guide on my episode 7 on proposals. And that is, even if you wanted to use a sample, you could go to sheldonprimus.com/proposals, and you could download my proposal, the one that Travis just referenced, and that's one of my proposals. I have, depending on the client, I do have the legalese version, and then I do have the stripped down version. But the one that's on the website is a detailed proposal. So you go ahead and download that one for free, so you get an idea. I kept the skeleton together, so the only thing you need to do is, take out my personal information and put in your information. So it works. I've seen some people that don't do that, so make sure you do that. So Travis,
proposals are a big deal. That's what the people making a financial decision, that's what they're reading to choose if they're going to move forward with you or not. So, I actually took a lot of information from your proposal and made sure that I covered it in ours, right? Because they need to kind of make it your own. That's the deal, is you have to make everything your own. And so that's a big deal. We use that. We use the Chamber of Commerce for the area a lot for free references and stuff like that. And, that's kind of how it went. I just slowly got into that, and then eventually became a full-time gig. And then that's when we did that for almost a year, and then decided to move forward with the building and grow. And that's kind of where we are today. So, my only word of advice to everybody is, once you jump in, you're not by yourself. There's plenty of people out there that are willing to help. Understand that those people can be busy, though. So, they're there to help, but they're not necessarily your beck and call. I have a lot of people that will call at me and ask me questions, and sometimes I just can't pick up the phone. And then I've had people get mad at me before and say, well, I thought you said you were here to help. Oh, yes, but, we have clients that pay us, and those clients come first. And so, in my free time, I will call you back and we'll move forward. And so just don't get discouraged if, you end up losing a mentor or losing help. There's other people out there. Utilize the resources around you, ask questions, and you'll be fine.
Yep. Now, how do people find you? Like, if someone went to get you, I know you gave your CostelloHSE.com. What about other ways to get a hold of you?
Yes, the best thing to do is if you just type in, so you got to be careful, right? So if you type in Costello Safety Consulting into Google, we will come up as the first result typically. However, there's actually another company we found out later on called Costello Safety Consulting. We are LLC, they are Inc. They're based out of California. We ran into some issues with that when it came to our website stuff, because the way that search engines work and everything else is our data would get associated with them. And so as we were doing all these tools and adding all this SEO, they were also getting a bump. And so we'd have a lot of times where people would be calling them or calling us for the other person, right? So you got to be careful with that. But it's so ways to reach us basically is if you can type in safety consulting or Costello Safety Consulting to Google, we'll pop up, right? We'll have all our information there. We have a Facebook page. It's basically Costello Safety Consulting. So Facebook /Costello Safety Consulting, I believe, is on there. We put a bunch of information on there from time to time. If you have Instagram, just type in either safety and you'll find us, or type in Costello Safety and you'll find us there. Underneath our Instagram, I think it's Costello HSE. Same with Twitter, it's Costello HSE. Very basic. Like I said, it's that, or ultimately you can just simply send us an email, and that email address is info at CostelloHSE.com. We get that, we respond. I have a team here that if I can't reply to you directly, they will at least get back to you. So if you guys have any questions, you can go through there. But yeah, we try to make ourselves available as much as we can. We are out and about. I do a lot of speaking engagements. It's one of the things that the reason why I've become successful is we are known for our training, right? So we don't do just basic PowerPoint training. A lot of our training classes are highly interactive. We use a lot of games and a lot of psychology in our classes. And so when we go and speak, a lot of times we're talking about conducting engaging training, effective training, how to not necessarily work a crowd or work a room, but it's how to utilize different free tools that are out there, like, Poll Everywhere or Kahoot, and stuff like that, to build into your presentations to make them fun and interactive and not boring. And so a lot of times you can see us out at either the engagements, or if you have any kind of safety meetings, stuff like that in town. If you're in Houston, you'll probably see us there. Outside of there, obviously to travel to go to these engagements can be a little tedious. So, but ultimately that's the best way to get a hold of us, is just go onto the Facebook page or our website, or just shoot me an email directly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing a remix, as I call it, interview with me.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm going to let you take off now, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. And once again, like I said, definitely everyone go make sure you're on that Facebook page for Sheldon's group, because it is, I literally read the stuff every day. And, my word on that is keep an eye out. If you have tools, share them with people, right? Keep an ie out, because like I said, we'll be making a dump on it this afternoon of some files. And, between now and Monday, there'll be quite a bit on there. And then after this one's released, if you have any suggestions for stuff, I might have it, so please let me know, and I'll keep everyone posted on that. I will get better at posting more on there. But yeah, like I said, reach out. We're happy to help in any way we can.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, you too. Have a great weekend.
Do you feel that your knowledge would be better served if you were your own boss? Your knowledge can help more people improve their workplace safety. Most of what you know may be wasting in a job that limits what you can do for the overall health and safety of workers. Now is the time to start your own business while you're still working for your current employer. Start your own safety consultant business with the Safety Consultant Blueprint course. Get your business legal in just a week. Brand yourself as an authority in safety, even on a shoestring budget. No more stressing about how to price your services fairly, but still make a profit. And experience the amazing feeling of being your own boss. This 100% online video course is instructor-led and will give you detailed steps to keep you focused as to what to do next to grow your business. Lay out strategies to keep you maximizing your marketing and networking efforts. And explain how to get money in between clients. Register today at safetyconsultantblueprint.com and enter the code PODCAST.
Welcome back to the Safety Consultant Podcast. I'd like to thank everybody for listening to me, sharing, subscribing. It's been awesome. I really have had a great time. If you haven't shared this podcast with anyone, please, I suggest you share it right now. If you haven't subscribed to this podcast, what's you waiting for? Go subscribe. It's only a button. Push the button. And if you haven't had the opportunity yet to do a little review, then I would just suggest that you go ahead out right now on whatever you're listening to. If you're not driving, if you're driving, forget about this, do it later. But if you're not driving, go ahead and just leave me a review. Whatever it is, I will be happy. Rate the show. And that's it. That's enough homework for you, right? So the tip of the week, be part of your community, especially if you have a physical location that people can come to train. So if you do have a training facility, it doesn't hurt to have certain events or certain things that can be held at your training facility, because yes, it is going to give you some exposure at your local community, but it'll also help you give back and be a part of that community so that you can give to them the safety and health that they would need, because these are your neighbors. So if they are injured, that's someone in your neighborhood, in your region, on your block that could have been protected from injury if you reached out to them. So that is your neighbor. You become your brother's keepers. You're loving your neighbor as yourself, as it says in the Christian Bible. That's a philosophy that goes throughout all of religions. But when you're thinking of community, fellowship, neighborhood, and you're going to start a business inside of that neighborhood, then it's great to give back whatever way you can without expecting anything back either. That's even harder to do, right? You know in the bottom of your mind that, yes, there will be a reciprocation, but it's not forced. And it's networking too, right? That's what we call it, right? Networking. And the other side, let's say that you're like me and you don't have a set location for training and for office space and everything else, then that's fine. I do plenty of freebies at other places and just give back that way. So if it makes you feel good, and then also it is still going to be a promotion for you. And even if you talk to your local OSHA office and you tell them that you will provide some free courses for the community, you give them the event, and then therefore they could start promoting that free event, because they can't promote anything paid, but they could promote free. And free from OSHA's promotion to you is, yes, it's definitely something that is strategic. I don't want to pretend it's not, but you are still giving back, and that is the key. That's where your heart should be. So that is the tip of the week, and I will see you next Monday. Have a great rest of your week.
This podcast is being sponsored by safetyconsultantblueprint.com.
This episode has been powered by Safety FM.